All right. The great thing about opinions is that everybody has them, and quite often opinions change. When it comes to Bill's training camp, I can tell you right now, there's been a solid handful of opinions that I had before training camp that I feel like already are starting to change. So we're going to talk about that. Plenty more coming up here today on Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. Thanks for watching and for listening. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you're subscribed and following if you're not yet already. Quick shout out to our sponsor, the law office of William Mattar. Heard in a car, call William Mattar, 444-4444. Call William Mattar today to get the compensation that you deserve. All right, things are off slightly here a little bit. Usually I have my guy, Matt Moran from SB Nation, joins me for the Wednesday podcast whenever we could do it. Things got pushed back a day this week, so he's here with me on Thursday's podcast, but nonetheless, still here. That's all that matters. What's up, Matt? How you doing, buddy? Good times.
Yeah, everything's going well. August is, big month here at SB Nation, so pretty busy. It's actually the 1-year anniversary of us launching the feed as we record here today on August 5th. We're recording Wednesday at 11 a.m. It's the 1-year anniversary of when we launched the feed. So if you do have Bill's opinions, stuff you want to share, head over to BuffaloRumblings.com and go to the feed. That's where our fans can share whatever they want. It's our
and let your fans know that they can make opinions or have them, and then they can change them too.
Exactly.
You don't got to die on the hill of every opinion and every take that you have, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of today's episode. I'm going to run through Matt here and through all of you listening a bunch of opinions that I had about 9 days or so ago, and how some of these are definitely starting to change. Maybe you have a couple of your own. I want to tell you a few things that I'm kind of hoping to see over the last 2 days of training camp. So we'll get to plenty of that here in just a minute. Before that, though, real quick, Matt, I just have to say this.
Okay.
Yesterday, well, by the time people are listening to it, will have been yesterday or 2 days ago, I think, maybe, whatever. But I had Joe Marino on with me live from Sunny Reds on Tuesday night, Wednesday podcast. What a great experience that was. I mean, it's the third straight year I've had Joe with me live, so I mean, I'm used to that. But, dude, I got to tell you, it never ceases to amaze me, the turnout when he's with me on this show. I have lots of media people, plenty of former Bills players, and people come out and they're happy to see them. But it's just something different for whatever reason it may be. When Joe Marino was out, I've been doing this for a long time now, man. 8.5 years. I probably have had, Matt, 100 live shows, maybe more. I don't get rattled. Like, I'm used to it. I'm telling you, Tuesday night, there was such a crowd, like, around the table. People I don't know, mostly I don't know anyway, with their cameras out, holding, taking pictures and videos. It kind of had me a little bit rattled. I was like, it took me back to the days where I used to get really nervous doing these things. But anyway, dude, he is a beloved, and deservedly so, a beloved member of the Bills community. And I was talking to people, because I was the afterthought, and I'm all right with that. I'm not the talent. Joe's the talent and shit. But it's like, why do you guys like, what do you like about Joe so much? And it's pretty much the same thing, the consistency and just, the knowledge. And from what I see and observe from getting to know him, just the way he interacts with fans. I mean, he's genuinely grateful and happy for anybody who listens to his show, and he doesn't take that for granted at all, and just has conversations with these people. Anyway, it was just a freaking awesome sight, man. I'm so happy we did the show. It kind of got me going again. Sometimes you get in a little bit of a lull, and you know how it is with work. You get a little bit of lull, and you need a little spark. And seeing that last night, and people coming up, to me too as well, by extension, of course, of Joe, and saying they liked the show and all this and stuff. It was a spark I needed, but a lot of fun. Joe's awesome, man.
He is, and he just must have a really big family. Let's just say that. No, I'm kidding. He
must have a real big family. But I got to tell you too, it's really cool. This is maybe the coolest thing that's ever happened to me in podcasting since I started. So we're sitting there, we were eating wings and just shooting the shit. And again, people coming up to Joe and yada yada yada. I'm fan, take pictures, yada. This old guy, I think he was in his 80s. He comes up. He was a Vietnam veteran, and he has two things with him, and he says, I'm a big fan of both your shows. And again, Joe was in his old world because there's 8 other people around him. Ain't nobody around me. But the guy gives us these hats. I'll put it up on the screen if you're watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that it's a special hat, but it's really cool. It's just like it's an American 250 hat. He was just talking about being in the military in Vietnam and stuff. And he goes, I want you guys to have these. He gave Joe a gray one. He gave me a black one. I don't know what it is about this hat. I mean, it's just a hat, right? But I don't know. The meaning behind it and the fact that this guy in his 80s gave this to me. I'm going to keep this in my studio. I'm going to cherish this shit. It was pretty cool. Really, really great moment for me. And like I said, I don't know. I'm feeling some kind of way today, Matt. I just am. It's a good time of year. Yeah. Summer. Bills are here. Podcast is doing well. I got Matt Moran from SB Nation with me here today. The new uniform, the schedule for the uniforms dropped on Twitter or social media here on it's Wednesday morning, not Tuesday morning when we're recording this. What are your thoughts? And if I'm not mistaken, is this the first time, Matt, that they've ever announced their uniform schedule for the season ahead of time? I can't remember this ever happening.
They have announced it's not just the uniforms, it's also the game programs yep. The huddle for hunger, the crucial catch, the salute to service. So they've announced that stuff in the past, but I don't remember them announcing the full home slate of uniforms ahead of time. They usually branded it and released it every week. And so it's still branded, as you can see on this picture with Kaleida Health and Verizon and all these other places. But announcing it ahead of time, I think, is super interesting. There are a couple takeaways from this as well. You see the Nickel City is all in the afternoon slot, so they won't be nationally televised games, which I thought was a very intriguing development after
I never thought of that. You're right. Yeah.
Some questions that we had on that opening day of training camp. Pete Guelli was there talking with some folks behind the scenes and sort of suggested that might be the case, that it wouldn't be in prime time. And that's what you're seeing here. Seeing the rivalries uniforms are the cold front uniforms, the all white with the metallic-y little buffalo, which I actually really liked. I know a lot of people didn't. But those are against the Dolphins this year. They rotate through which division opponents it's going to be. So next year, in the year 3 of the rivalries uniform, we'll wear it at home against the Jets. So you can already pencil it in. Let's already.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. It was the Patriots last year, if you remember. Stephon Diggs kind of ruined the launch of those jerseys. And again, this is just the home thing. So there's because the red alternate is in week 18, there's actually 4 alternate uniforms here. There's 2 Nickel Cities, there's the rivalries, and then there's the red alternate. So some people are saying that that's the end of it. It's not. The rivalries are in addition to the 4 games that the Bills get to choose their alternate uniforms, so they can actually use 5. That Denver Broncos game, again in Denver, I think we could see the red helmet, blue 90s throwbacks. So I'm just putting that out there that is still a possibility before people get like all sorts of peeved that we're not going to get to see the red helmets this year. I still think that that's a possibility. Matt Beauvais reported it, I believe, but I haven't actually. It's obviously not confirmed from the Bills yet.
I've said this a million times. I'm not a big uniform guy. They did, and this is different because now that you said it, it just kind of stroked the memory a little bit. They would have something on Twitter, a picture in the locker room or whatever they were going to be wearing for that week. It's a little bit weird that they're only going to wear their traditional blue uniforms for literally half their home schedule right now.
Plus all the home playoff games, Pat.
Yeah, for sure. For only 2 though, because they won't have to play the first week. So
okay,
so they'll have 2 more home playoff games for sure. Yeah, you're right too. By the way, about last year's rivalry uniforms, I liked them up until the New England game. I told you it only matters to me win or lose. I think of that uniform and I think of losing last year.
Well, that's what Josh Allen said too. So
yeah, it's not Stephon Diggs eating up the Bills. It's not Keon Coleman fumbling inside the 10-yard line. It's not Drake May having a great game. It was the uniforms. So I'm not excited about it. I'm going to be honest with you, though. For the most part, I don't give a shit. It is pretty interesting, though, that they're doing the, and I never thought of it till you said it, the Nickel City uniforms, afternoon games that won't be there won't be quite as many eyes on that live anyway. Pretty interesting. All right, let's get into some opinions here of mine. I don't know if you shared these or not. I'm going to get your thoughts, obviously.
I lied.
What?
I very much lied.
What did you lie about?
The Bears-Bills game is an 8:20 kickoff, so it is a nationally televised game.
Ooh, really?
It's
Yeah, that's right.
December 19th. It's a Saturday, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Let me look. Yep, it's a Saturday. Oop.
Well,
sorry, I lied. Everyone gets to see the Nickel Cities.
Pretend you didn't hear the last few minutes of the show. All right. Well, there you go. All right. I have like 10 opinions, okay, that I came into training camp having that I'm not going to say they've completely changed my opinion, but it's at least somewhat changed. So I want to get your thoughts on each. And maybe you didn't share the same opinion coming in. I want to be clear about that as well. So these were my opinions, but things that have changed. The first thing is this. My opinion was I couldn't wait to see, like one of the highlights of training camp for me was going to be that big CB2 battle between Max Harrison and IGB. Max Harrison, a first-round pick from a year ago. This year, IGB, a second-round pick that surprised a lot of people. A Jim Leonard fit. You got to assume he's a Jim Leonard fit, them taking him in the second round. Brandon Beane saying this was the biggest hole on the team. Yada, yada, yada. And just the general thought that we were going to see a competition. Last year, we were supposed to. Trey White, Max Harrison. Unfortunately, Max got hurt. So that was my opinion. My opinion's changed because as of now, I'm telling you, there is no CB2 battle. There is none. It's Max Harrison is the starter. IGB is running with the twos, and I don't think he's making progress towards getting with the ones either. I think IGB, in my eyes, has had a very up and down, and to be quite frank with you, a little more down than up, which, hey, 5 practices, rookie year. Let's not read too much into it. I want to be careful here. I'm not saying, people are, oh, Pat thinks he sucks. No, but he's had a slow start to his first training camp. Max Harrison ain't been all that great either, by the way. He's actually struggled. That's what kind of annoys me a little bit is I feel like there's been opportunity. Like if IGB was having a good camp right now, I think we could be having this discussion because I don't think Max Harrison has had a great, by any means, camp so far. But yeah, that was my opinion. We're going to see a CB2 battle, but we're not. Not as of now, anyway.
Yeah, it's turned more into a slap fight and then an actual training battle.
You're right.
Yeah, like even Joe Biscaglia said that Max Harrison is the biggest question mark on the entire defense at the moment. And so the opportunity, like you said, the opportunity for IGB has been there, but he hasn't really seized that. And that's again, like you said, it's his first training camp. I'm not going to read too much into that, but it's a little bit concerning that the boundary cornerback position battle hasn't been good, I guess we'll say.
And a little concerning that one of them's a first round pick and one of them's a second round pick. You know what I mean? These aren't bottom, day 3 guys that you're trying to have become starters.
Especially because we've complained, or at least some people have complained about the Bills receiver room for a long time, and they're getting schooled by Keon Coleman. And I know I've said from the beginning, Keon Coleman was going to have a great training camp, and he has, but that should also be concerning to some folks who don't think highly of Keon Coleman, that he's beating these, highly touted cornerbacks.
Very specifically to your point, at practice on Tuesday, Keon Coleman, 3 or 4 consecutive times, caught a ball one-on-one against Max Harrison. And it wasn't that he ran his nice crispy route and Max got cooked or anything like that. He was in position, and Keon just used his size and his strength to win that battle. And I do think, Matt, on some levels, what they're doing with the coaching in that drill is intentional. Like Max Harrison is a speed guy who could run. How's he going to match up against bigger physical wide receivers, though? So they were having Keon on him. Conversely, with IGB, he's the complete opposite.
Yes.
He's the complete opposite of Max Harrison. He gets you kind of tied up and jammed. You're not getting, you're done. It's over. That rep is over for you. But when he doesn't jam someone and that guy starts running and getting off on a route, on a cut, on a move, it looks to me like he's really struggling with the quickness to be able to run with those guys, like a Khalil Shakir, DJ Moore. These route runners, like DJ Moore actually owned him a handful of times in those reps. But It's like, I wish you could put those two together, like take the traits from each of them and make one guy.
And we've seen them do this at a couple positions recently. Like I'm thinking strong safety with Jordan Poyer last year. Could the Bills rotate those guys through depending on who the wide receiver 2 is for the other team? If it's a more physical receiver, could they put IGB out there to take those starters reps? And if it's a more fleet of foot receiver, could they put Max Harrison out there? I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying they did it under Sean McDermott. They could theoretically do it again. Jim Leonard from the beginning said, like, right day 2, like Max is a man corner. He can challenge, all this other stuff. And I have not seen that from him. And you obviously haven't either because you just brought up 2.
Right. 100%. I want to say this one more time, and then I'm not going to say it again for the rest of the podcast. So I really hope that this is cemented into people's brains at this point. We're talking about 5 days of training camp. We're saying what we're seeing right now, what we are seeing right now. It does not mean that's going to be the case in a few weeks. If we're talking up somebody, that doesn't mean that guy's going to be a stud. If we're talking down about the way someone's playing right now, it doesn't mean that guy's going to be a bust. I just want to be really clear. We're talking about what we've seen so far at camp, where opinions might have changed as opposed to where we were at about 9 or 10 days ago. The next one, I have to say this too. My opinion was this. My pre-opinion, I think we're overhyping a little bit the impact that a day 3 rookie linebacker is going to bring to this team. Like, let's pump the brakes some, okay? I mean, the guy's a 4th round pick. He's a good story. He's going to be in the mix because the Bills are thin at linebacker. He'll be in the mix. But let's relax a little bit on the hype. That was my opinion coming in. Yesterday on the show, I asked Joe Marino, I said, Joe, if you were in a coma for 4 years and you woke up and I immediately came to your hospital room and I said, all right, get dressed, bro. Dragged your ass to St. John Fisher, walked you to the sideline, and you started watching this team play. Is this a rookie or is this a guy who's been in the league for 4 years? I'm talking about Caleb Alarms-Orr, of course. Any hype that he had before camp, it's been realized to me and then some. I am personally, I don't know about you, and I want to get your thoughts here. I'm borderline blown away by what I've seen from this dude. I mean, he is serious. He's relentless. He's quick. He's physical. He tried to kill a tackling dummy during reps on Tuesday. I mean, I've never seen somebody try to decapitate a tackling dummy like he did. And there's other factors too, which I'll get to, but I want to get to your opinion. So I was wrong thinking that, let's pump the brakes on this guy because he's just a day 3 rookie. No, he's worth the hype to me and then some.
This is definitely one that fits this category very well of people whose opinions we have changed since the start of camp.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing goes back to day 1. Like I haven't seen him in pads. So let me be clear. I only saw him on day 1 with my own eyes. I haven't been there since day 1. But reading reports out of there, what you're saying is absolutely true. The biggest news that I took out of day 1 was what Brandon Beane said about Dorian Williams. And that's that he missed a huge chunk of the offseason workouts. And now he's limited to start training camp because he broke his kneecap or something in OTAs. And so when you're given an opportunity, take it. And that's what he is doing. And so to all of his credit, he is taking the opportunity that was given to him in OTAs and now is extended into the teamwork here. And so Dorian Williams has got an uphill climb, I think, to be the starter on this defense because of that injury. And you don't usually say that folks lose their starting spot due to injury, but it's a brand new defense. There's Dorian Williams doesn't bring experience in Jim Leonard's defense, and neither does KEO. And so, I mean, it's there for the taking.
3 things real quick with Alarms-Orr. One, I thought coming into camp, he would be in the mix to be a starter. Right now, I'm ready to predict that he's going to be a starter.
He's taking every first team rep, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, no. Bernard and Williams are getting first team. They're still out there at the beginning. The last 2 days, they've been out there at the beginning. But Alarms-Orr is playing more than Williams.
Okay.
And I'm sure some of that's because of Dorian Williams, and they're just being careful with him. I just think he looks significantly better than Dorian Williams. I just think I think he's better. If he doesn't start week 1, he's going to start soon. He's going to take a job. And I've been asking people, because I'm no linebacker guru, is there a world where if Terrell Bernard's struggling or if he's hurt and he tries to come back and he's physically playing, but he's not like last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was not good last year when he was out there, in part because he was hurt. Is there a world where you could have Dorian Williams and Caleb Alarm-Zor? And people I've asked said yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's going to find his way to the playing field. I'll say that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I also want to give some props to your guy, man, Chris Trapasso from Buffalo Rumblings, because this is a surprise to a lot of people. It can't possibly be a surprise to Chris, because Chris, going back to before April, had Caleb Alarm-Zor with a first-round grade, and he was the second linebacker on his big board, and we're going back 4 months ago. So Chris saw this coming, and I think now we're all starting to see it come to fruition, the skill set on this guy. He's just, I don't know, man. I think he's hell-bent. I think, I know, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I think this guy's going to be a real player on this defense.
He also has a little bit of that edge and that spark plug in him. On Tuesday, he got into a fight with Dalton Kincaid that turned into the fight with Alec Anderson. That was a much bigger scrum. It was probably a late hit on Kincaid from everything.
It was, no probably about it. It was a late hit.
So I understand why Alec Anderson inserted himself into that particular conversation. But, having that edge isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's one of the things the Bills have probably been missing on this defense over the course of the last Sean McDermott years.
I could not agree with you more. And this is, dude, you look back in Brandon Beane and his checkered past with the earlier round picks, but his pretty solid success of nailing some day 3 guys. This sure feels like another Khalil Shakir, Christian Benford, day 3 type of a guy that's just so far exceeds
Gabe Davis
expectations. Gabe Davis, 100%. Teron Johnson, he just feels like that day 3 guy who's going to be the next in line of a bunch of good being day 3 picks. All right, let's take a real quick break, come back, and we'll get to plenty more opinions that may have changed since Bills camp started. Matt Warren, SB Nation, with me here on Talking Buffalo, presented by William Matar. So, going back to Mafia Con, the fan event that Del Reed puts on a couple weeks ago, saw Michael Hoyt there walking around, looked pretty good, man, no limp, anything like that. And I'm like, all right, well, and you and I have talked about this plenty on the show. In fact, I know you've been pretty strong on the fact that they're going to slow play it with him. I agree. Maybe I believed you a little bit too much, because I'm going to tell you right now, They
have not been. They have not been at all.
Slow playing Michael Hoyt. Michael Hoyt, and again, here's what I'll say about Michael Hoyt. I'm not going to go, he's no world beater. He's not, come on, man. He's not going to be Myles Garrett, all right? Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. But he's a versatile guy, and if I didn't know that he was coming off a torn Achilles, like if I woke up out of a coma and went to practice, I'd be like, he's a 55 guy. He looks perfectly fine to me. He's coming off an Achilles. What? He's out there. Like they're running, first and second team. It's Groot and it's Bradley Chubb. And then it's almost exclusively now, not almost, it is exclusively Michael Hoyt and TJ Parker coming out there with the 2s. And then it's Dana and Solomon coming out with the 3s. And Solomon's getting more run with the 2s as well. But they're not taking it easy with Michael Hoyt. He's doing everything. He's doing all the drills. He's doing team stuff. He's doing individual stuff. And I'm not going to say he's looked incredible by any means, although he did have a couple really impressive. I feel bad. He owned Tylen Grable in a one-on-one on Tuesday. But so my opinion that they're going to slow play with Michael Hoyt and be extra cautious with him coming off a serious injury, my opinion's changed, because they're absolutely not. If he doesn't have a setback, he's going to be a part of this defense in week 1. I'd be willing to bet at this point.
Definitely my biggest surprise so far. Yes. I was very strongly adamant that the Bills would try to protect him from himself. And Brandon Beane even said that on opening day too, on opening day of training camp. He's like, we've kind of had to hold him back from himself. But still, he was talking, he did a great interview with The Athletic. If you haven't seen it, with Tim Graham, he's like, every 2 weeks he got a new thing. And so I was able to walk or run or jump rope or whatever. And he's just been like steadily doing it. The most interaction I got from anything that I posted from day 1 at training camp was that Michael Hoyt video. And somehow I was the only person who took a Michael Hoyt video on day 1. But everyone did it like day 2, day 3, I saw. But but yeah, he looks, I mean, like you said, he's never going to be like Myles Garrett, but he looks healthy. He looks like a person that could play in week 1, which surprises me. And so again, that's what we're talking about here. Changed opinions for sure. My opinion is now that Michael Hoyt's going to be on this opening day roster. And that was not my opinion before. I thought he was going to start the year on PUP or start the year on, whether it's injured reserve, whatever. Anyway,
fun little nugget. That means absolutely nothing, but just fun to throw out there. I'm always interested in who's out there first. I'm always interested in who stays out there the longest afterwards. Again, doesn't really mean much. Michael Hoyt's one of the first guys out there every single practice. I've noticed that about him. And isn't it wild how injuries, some guys just come back from them so much sooner? Like Hoyt looks like he's going to do it. Stephon Diggs, to his credit, coming back from the ACL and still being good a lot quicker than anybody saw. It's just, I don't know. Some people just heal better, I guess, than others with these crazy injuries.
And I'm sure he's working at it. Like, it's not just like, luck of the draw or genetics or anything like that. He's busting his ass behind the scenes, and not everybody does that. But, people have talked about him. We saw a lot of Landon Jackson stuff this offseason as well, about how hard he's been working to put on the weight and work behind the scenes. And so like those kinds of things aren't accidental. They're not just, I mean, that's not to say like Trey White didn't put in the work, because I'm 100% sure he did. It's just some people heal, like you said, some people heal faster, some people work at it better. And so, Hoyt must be blessed with both.
I'm going to scoot up one on my list. Like I kind of had these in order, but I'm actually going to move one up now because you just mentioned him. Yep. You mentioned Landon Jackson. My opinion coming into camp, if I'm being completely honest with you, was I think he's going to be lucky to make this team. I know he put on some weight. He feels like a tweener to me. He's not big enough to be on the inside.
Yeah.
He's too big and not athletic enough to be an edge rusher. So where's his role on this team? He'll be lucky to make this team. That was my opinion. You got the big boys like Logue and Fedarian Mathis is depth, Dwayne Carter. Well, about a week or so into camp now, and I got to tell you, he's been impressive. I've been impressed with him. He's looked really good in drills, and I've also, has not been lost on me, he's played a lot with the ones.
Yes.
Like right now, it's went from Landon Jackson might not make this team to Landon Jackson and TJ Sanders is the battle that I thought maybe Max Hairston and IGB would end up being. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but they're both going to play, unlike the cornerback job where one's going to play and the other's not going to play probably.
Sure.
But Landon Jackson's definitely going to rotate in with this. He gained 20 pounds this offseason, so he could be that, I don't know, that defensive end in the 3-4. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how much they do that rotation at the defensive end position opposite of Ed Oliver. Obviously Oliver's not going to play 100% of the snaps either. So there's going to be chances for him to rotate in. And so that's going to be very interesting.
He's looked good. And he does look bigger. Like a lot of times when I say he put on weight, I'm like, whatever. He looks thicker.
20 pounds. Like that's not nothing.
I know. He looks it too. I mean, there was one of the practices where I was able to get up right up to the side of the rail where you saw, and the defensive linemen and the linebackers were right in front of me. And you could definitely see the girth on him.
He's just thicker.
Yeah, he does. And he's looked good. It's been, again, they've only been in pads for one day. And I feel like with offensive line, defensive line, you can't tell shit until they put the pads on. So it's only been one day of 1.5 days with pads. But that full day on Tuesday and some of Monday, I certainly think he's looking the part. Now, go ahead.
To your point about the tweener thing, like having him look good in drills is one thing, but figuring out where he actually fits in the scheme, I think is really what we want to see going forward.
TJ Sanders doesn't look bad either, by the way. He's had a couple nice pass rushes, so it's not like I'm saying he hasn't been garbage by any means. I just think Landon Jackson's look good.
And they need at least 2 guys at that spot. So having both of them play well is really good.
Yeah. All right. I always feel like whenever I say something negative, I always feel I need to preface it with something. I hate that about myself, but I can't help it. Matt Warren and I are both unabashed, unapologetic Buffalo Bills fans. We admit that. We don't run from it. We don't hide from it, okay? We both got Bills shit in the background when you watch on the YouTube videos. But one thing I love about you, and I try to be like this myself, is we certainly will not shy away from being critical of players and areas of the team that aren't playing well. So it's not like we're going to be, what's the word, homers, where you refuse to say something bad about the team because you're worried about whatever. No, that's not what we do. Not on this show, and that's definitely not what you do either. I'm prefacing this by saying something. My opinion coming into camp was it's going to be not long before Skylar Bell leapfrogs Josh Palmer and maybe even Keon Coleman on the depth chart pretty quickly, and he's going to see a lot of snaps as a rookie. That was my opinion. And again, we're early in camp. A lot can happen in the next, 4.5 weeks before the season even starts. We're just scratching the surface here, folks. But based on what I've seen so far, not even close. I got to be honest with you. Skylar Bell, Joe said this on the show last night. He has first-round speed and athletic traits.
Yep.
And he's got late day 3 pick skill set when it comes to tracking the ball and other things like that. And 100% have seen that. There's times where I watch him, I'm like, he's quick. Yeah, he looks quick. Yep. He looks good running this route. Then I see other times, I've seen him drop a couple at practice. And then more importantly, there was one play specifically. It was, I want to say it was Toriano Pride or Walker. One of the guys it was 11 on 11. He beat him. And Josh threw him, it was 7 on 7. And Josh threw him a perfect pass. And by the time he looked up and tracked the ball, it was almost at his ankles already. Not great tracking skills so far. Here's what I'm saying. He's got a lot of work to do. He's a rookie who might have a good skill set, but he looks very raw to me right now. And I'm not the only one. I've heard other people talk about, giving you an exclusive here. He's struggling a little bit, and he's not going to anytime soon. Put it this way, Mecole Hardman would play right now ahead of him if something, happened with Keon and or Josh Palmer. So the quick start that I thought we were going to get from Skylar Bell, I've changed my mind because that's not happening.
Yeah, and you'll probably remember that on my list, I always had him as needing some time for seasoning.
Well, you were right.
Folks were really excited about him, but there's a reason he was at UConn. There's a reason that his best games were against Division II and Division, and football, football championship subdivision teams. He's gonna need some time to get going here.
All right, next one here. Yeah, He's a name, and a lot of people are paying attention to him. And he's also fluctuated a lot, in terms of, like when the Bills are stretching or they're doing some drills, they run in twos in packs. It's DJ Moore every time. It's DJ Moore and Shakir, and then it's Keon and Palmer. They've been the first 4 every time. At times, Skylar Bell's been the third group. At times, he's literally been the last. Trent Sherfield's been up. Mecole Hardman's been up. I've seen Pettis move up and down a little bit. Yeah, he's very, very inconsistent. I don't think he's a guy you could put on the field and trust right now. And again, it might take some time. I'm not saying he won't get there. I like the pick, and I still do. Just not a great first week. One more before we get to our last break. I said before, we were doing kind of predictions, I think Seth Van Granger will be traded. That was my opinion. He's going to get traded because of I looked at the roster, the depth. I'm like, where's this guy going to fit in? I don't think he is. Get something for him. He's probably got a little bit of trade value. I don't think that my opinion's changed. 2 reasons. Number 1, I think Cushenberry, Grable, and Chase Lunt have not looked very good this first week. And more importantly for Granger, he has looked pretty good this week. He's played guard a lot. Also some center, so he's got to have that versatility to be a depth piece on this team. Mm-hmm. And he's playing plenty of guard. And he's also, again, he's obviously playing some center too as well. So I guess I just arrive at this conclusion, or my opinion changing now, because again, he's had a good week, and some guys that I think he's competing with for spots and maybe playing time, they're not. So, why would you want to trade somebody who, is playing well and might be a part of your plans?
Yeah, I think the preseason games are going to be really important for that interior depth battle, because there's going to be players that play well in the preseason games that drive up their trade value. There's going to be players that play well in those preseason games that drive up their want to keep value. So if you can get a few of those guys doing that, then you can trade a Cushenberry or something like that at the end of August as that, Brandon Bean special that he likes to do.
One more real quick break. And then when we come back to finish up, for a second straight year, there's a guy who I said I was not going to buy into, and I'm starting to buy into him. That and a few more things here after this break. All All right, back here, one more segment with Matt Warren. I said before going into camp, Matt, I did it last year. I'm not going to fall for the Javon Solomon looks good, in a jersey and shorts, that whole spiel. Well, I kind of am because I think he's playing well. He's off to a good start. And I look at the edge rushers because they do drills together. And there's 6 of them. 7, because I got to include Andre Jones Jr., my bad. He looks far and away the quickest. Like all these drills. Like he's the one bendy, kind of twitchy, edge Nick Benito-ish style body type of edge rusher that they have. I don't think they have anyone else like that among that group. And some guys may work out or some may not. Veterans in the new Jim Leonard system, I kind of feel like he might be a guy that does. So my opinions change. I said I wasn't going to fall for any of my Javon Solomon hype this year like I did last year where I said he was going to have 6 to 8 sacks. He was barely playing 6 snaps a game. I think I'm ready to do it again, though, so I'm changing my opinion.
That was the one thing heading in this year that I wasn't confident about last year with Javon Solomon, but this year, like he's built, like you said, for that pass rush outside linebacker role way more than he is for the 4-3 defensive end where he's got to do more run support and things like that. Like he's built to bend around the edge and be that what you called fast twitch. And so I do think he could have a role on this team. He's obviously a key part of their special teams. So it makes a lot of sense that he's going to be on this roster going forward and that you would actually like him right now.
Yeah, and he's a special teams guy. He's going to make this team.
I think
he's going to make this team because here's where the next one where my opinion is kind of changed some. I came in the camp thinking I liked the McDana signing. I'm like, brings a lot of veteran leadership to, or experience to this team, a winner, all these things. He's going to be a nice asset to the front 7. My opinion changed. He may not make this team. I'm no guru, okay? And I don't try to pretend I am, all right? I'm not going to try to pretend I am, but my eyes see what they see. Mm-hmm. And what my eyes see is a guy who just looks a little slow. He looks a little slower than I thought. I don't know what his skill set is. I don't see where he's going to be helping this team much when you look at the roster, especially if Michael Hoyt is playing.
Right.
That's the thing. So Hoyt's playing, and we just talked about Javon Solomon. TJ Parker's not going nowhere. So they would have to keep 6 ends for him to even make the team. And if they do, a guy I just mentioned in passing, I think Andre Jones Jr. might be a guy who makes this team before him anyway. So that's where my opinions change. I would not lay down money right now. I wouldn't be too confident in Mike Dana. Like, I would be renting week to week if I had an apartment in Orchard Park right now if I'm Mike Dana. I'm sorry, but
yeah, no, that's not wrong. They signed him in May. They had no idea what Michael Hoyt was going to look like in training camp for sure. I mean, that's 2 months ago, more than 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he's one of those like signings that you make in May when you're not 100% sure about an injury recovery. It's a guy with starting experience. Like it's a really good May signing that I think he's got like his guaranteed money on his contract is like the veteran minimum salary. So if he gets cut by the Bills and signed by someone else, assuming that there's offset language, which there has to be, it won't cost the Bills hardly anything, whatever they paid him for signing bonus. So it's definitely a move that they can make to move on from Mike Dana with the Michael Hoyt being healthy thing as the main factor there.
2 more here that I have anyway. Coming into camp, I'm like, it's just a matter of time. Trey White, Shaq Thompson, Brandon Cooks, Matt Milano, at least one of them are signing here. Trey White is the one that stops me from saying there's no chance of this happening. But my opinion has changed because I just don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think any of those guys are going to be a Buffalo Bill based on this roster and what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm actually the opposite way of you. I thought none of them would be on the active roster. Cooks made the most sense as like a practice squad dude like he was last year. But now I'm like inching closer and closer to the Trey White. Like they really do need another boundary quarterback. And so it's just in the back of my mind out there that they need someone. And Brandon Beane was asked specifically about Trey White on, opening day of camp. He's like, yeah, we reach out to him every once in a while. Like, I mean, we're in contact. Like, I mean, I know that they're just like maintaining relationships, but I'm sure if they need a boundary cornerback, Trey White's one of the people they're going to try out.
If you're Trey White, are you interested in coming to the Buffalo Bills knowing that you're going to be CB4 and that until an injury happens, you're probably going to be inactive on game days? Because we've talked about this a bunch.
Yeah.
He's got no special teams value. You don't have backup boundary corners who don't play special teams. So he would be standing on the sidelines for 60 minutes doing nothing and having no impact on the game whatsoever, unless there's an injury. So if you're Trey White, I mean, are you surprised? Actually, let me ask you this.
I'm surprised about Trey not being signed. Yes.
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, this guy was, I know the Bills he's a Sean McDermott guy and they play a specific kind of defense. He played pretty damn well last year. I mean, I cannot believe that he's not at least on a team, at least competing to be a starter. It baffles me right now. Yeah, I'm with you, Trey. I just don't know if you're Trey. Are you willing to come in and just be that end of the depth? Break glass, kind of Gabe Davis in a way. He would be this year's version of Gabe Davis, no?
If he switches his mentality to that, like Jordan Poyer, I'm going to come in and mentor Cole Bishop. Trey White could come in and mentor these young guys pretty easily, but that's he'd have to shift his mentality. And that's not a dig on Trey. If I played as well as he did last year, I'd probably be holding out for, some job where I had a path towards playing too. I think, like we've said before, part of it is that a lot of that Bills defensive coaching staff didn't really latch on at places that we thought would be good. I mean, Sean McDermott hasn't gone anywhere. He's hopped into a few different training camps. That's about it. Bobby Babich is in Green Bay and they don't really sign a lot of older veterans like that. I could see him going to the Giants or something with those folks because he played with John Harbaugh. He, obviously the Bills, there's Bills connections there in the front office as well. And so that one, at least there's ties to it, but he didn't play great in Baltimore. I mean, he played okay in Baltimore, so we'll see. There's just not a lot of landing spots for a guy like him, I don't think.
No. And I should have prefaced it by saying injuries could always change that, of course. But, health-wise, otherwise, I just don't think Milano's a fit. I was saying, I could have had a separate one just for Shaq Thompson. I was confident they were going to sign him. I think Eli Armsor has changed that.
Yeah.
I do. Do you want to have a promising rookie who looks the part, or do you want to have a 30-some-year-old guy who, has a lot of significant injury history in his career? Although he played well last year, he mostly held up, but he had injury problems last year with the calf and stuff as well. And the last one was Brandon Cooks. I mean, I still wouldn't mind them signing him, but Josh Palmer's had a really good camp so far. I'll say that. He's not looked out of place. He's looked quick. He hasn't no hobbling around. He's caught passes that have been thrown to him. He's had a lot of good moments. I also think they really want Mikael Harbin to make this team. I do, man. I just feel like he'll be a primary. Even though Ray Davis led the NFL kick returning last year, I think you can see Harbin out there returning kicks and punts. And being a fifth or sixth receiver with Ray Davis on the kick return. But anyway, we'll see. Sherfield, I don't see it happening right now. Trey would be the other one because I don't like this. I don't like this Kenny Walker versus Toriano Pride Jr. fourth CB. Pride Jr.'s not had a good camp. He's had a rough go. Walker played really, really well early on. Slowed down a little bit, but man, he's an undrafted free agent. He's been a good story so far in camp, but I don't know if he makes the 53. That's a guy I feel like can get on the practice squad.
It still feels like there's at least one more signing in Brandon Beane.
And I think that's it. I think it's corner. I think it's corner, which obviously could point to Trey White, but you don't have a fourth boundary corner. You don't have an NFL boundary corner right now, a fourth one. Although D. Alford, I suppose, could move to the outside if he had to. And he has. And he has. And IGB, like I said, I don't know. He's still got some work ahead of him, too, for now. Anyway, all right, last one. I said going into camp, Tyler Bass was not going to kick well early on. He'll miss some field goals, and we would be talking about it too much on this show, on radio, on print media. Well, my opinion's changed because is he ever going to kick?
He hasn't been inconsistent. I'll tell you
that's what I'm saying. My opinion changed. He hasn't been inconsistent because he's consistently not kicked the football at practice. It's wild to me. I'm baffled right now. It almost seems like they're hiding him they don't want him to kick in front of other people. Literally. I mean, Rogers, the special teams coach, spoke on Tuesday. A bunch of bullshit excuses with pads and this and that and a bunch of bullshit, man. How's he not kicking? How's he not out there before practice kicking from the 40-yard line by himself, even if nothing else, before practice starts? If he's kicking him privately, which, again, why? Why? It's August, bro. If you're worried about this guy being healthy, you don't even have another kicker on the roster. I mean, Matt Prater's probably like on speed dial right now, I would assume, or someone else, but I don't know, dude. It's weird to me that this dude has not kicked one football and we're 5 practices deep.
Yes. The kickoff piece where they use the machine to simulate the kickoff, that makes a lot of sense for me because they're obviously trying out people for those spots. The field goal unit and all that stuff, like until they get into pads, like they can't even really practice that. You're talking about like steps or anything like that, whatever. So I can understand why they haven't had a need to like perform field goals or anything like that. But to your point, we usually see them like when the rest of the team is on the grass field, we'll see the specialists go in and use the turf field to practice kicking. And we have not seen that at all this year. And so it is very strange. It is very weird. It is probably number 1 on my list of stuff we should see going forward. I'm assuming he's kicking. Like he said, he feels healthy. So. I'm assuming he's kicking just when people aren't around. Like,
well, what the hell? It's like me going to the driving range at 6 a.m. where no one could see how terrible I'm teeing off. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about people going, "Ooh, that guy's got a shitty golf swing." Right
but if
now.
he was being that terrible, as you are, I'm sure with your tee shots, wouldn't they have somebody else? Like they don't even have undrafted free agent rookie in there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Now, in fairness, I will say they haven't done full kickoff drills yet at practice. Like right now, I like to look at the depth chart. Who's doing this? Who's where? And I'm like, who are the gunners on the kick team? Who are the gunners on the punt team? I don't know.
Right.
Because they haven't done it yet. Obviously, Franklin will be one of them. I'm like, well, who's going to be on the other side? I'm interested in knowing that because that usually is kind of a tale towards who might make this roster, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So anyway, those are the 10 for me. Is there anyone I missed? Like, do you have any? I feel like we covered half this roster already, but is there anything that like you've kind of said, yeah, I think my opinion's changed on this?
There's a couple things. I know we talked about Federian Mathis early on. I'm like, he's a former 2nd round pick. Like he's got the pedigree, like he's got the size. He could definitely do this. And seeing him work so consistently ahead of Dwayne Carter, I think has been a little bit of a surprise just because Dwayne Carter is more of this regime than Federian Mathis. But like I said, Federian Mathis is definitely a guy who can make this roster, as I said, heading into training camp. So that's only a little bit of a surprise. I saw a note that Kaleki Latu has taken a couple passes from Josh Allen, which surprised me.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't think that they were going to carry 4 tight ends unless they got rid of the fullback, which is a different conversation. So those are 2 things that have like sort of surprised me down the roster. And then at the top of the roster, I mean, Josh Allen and DJ Moore, we knew they were going to come in and be fine, but the way that they have been just literally on the same page from the get-go, I think is a pleasant surprise.
I'll tell you this, Matt, through 5 days, and not counting Josh Allen, because that's bullshit. You can't count him. But if you would have said, when you ask some questions, you got to put some thought into it. You weigh a couple options. If you say, who's the MVP of Bills training camp in 2026, it would take me a half a second to say DJ Moore. It's easy. It's DJ Moore. CJ Gardner-Johnson was on track to be in that conversation because he had a great first 2 days.
Right.
But then he got hurt. It's DJ Moore. He's, by a lot, been the Bills' most valuable or best player at camp, not counting whose name's not Josh Allen.
Right. And I've been one of the guys that's like, oh, he's going to have a good year. Like he just didn't have great chemistry with Caleb Williams, whatever it happens to be. Didn't fit into Ben Johnson's vision, whatever. I thought he was going to be good. I wasn't anticipating him being like, 1,100 or 1,000 yards good necessarily. But I think that after seeing let's talk about training camp hot takes right here. Like after seeing him and how he's adjusted with Josh Allen so quickly, I can definitely see those milestones in reach for him this year. I'm not saying he's going to get there. I'm just saying his expectations for this year are ticking up as training camp practices go by.
Yeah. And listen, training camp is just training camp and you shouldn't read too much into it. But yeah, he goes from saying, there's no way this dude's getting 1,100 yards or something like that to like, this dude could get 1,100 yards. And his offense can absolutely see the path to it just through this first week. 100%. I got 2 quick bonus ones. We don't need to deep dive into them, but I do. One of them I already mentioned, Hardman. I think Mikael Hardman might make this team. I came into camp saying he's not making this team. There's no way. Like, even if they keep 6 receivers, Trent Sherfield is a special teams guy. He's got a lot of value there. He's going to make this team. And he still might. But Hardman's playing a lot with the ones. Like, he kind of feels like, to me right now, he's Khalil Shakir's backup right now in this offense. He's definitely, for now, ahead of Skylar Bell. I don't think that's going to last forever, but I'd say right now he's ahead of Skylar Bell in the passing game pecking order.
But they could still put Bell on the roster and have Hardman on the practice squad too.
Oh, Bell's making this team. I promise you that. He's like, he's making this team. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And then the other thing, small thing, but I never thought of Keontae Jenkins. My opinion was I don't think anything of him going into camp. He's played a lot. He's on the second team. He is firmly on the defense. He's firmly ahead of Joe Andreessen on the depth chart. Every time the second team comes out there, it's always Jenkins and never Andreessen. So
that, again, goes back to the Mike Dana conversation, because, like, if they do end up keeping 6 of those outside linebackers, they probably will have to cut one of those inside linebackers that you talked about.
And I don't think they're going to.
I would rather have those 2 guys, the Jenkins and the Buffalo Joe, as opposed to, the Mike Dana or whatever. So I do. There is a trade-off there.
You're right. And if it's either 6-4, 5-5, my money right now says it's 5-5.
Yep, agreed.
Where you go Groot, Chubb, Hoyt, Parker, and Solomon, and then you go Bernard Williams or Jenkins and Andreessen, because Andreessen will be a 4-core, special team guy.
Yes.
Who's got experience playing. I'm not saying Joe Andreessen's not making this team. I'm just telling you that right now, Keontae Jenkins is ahead of him in the depth chart, and not once or twice, every day too. So that is noticeable. Last thing here, real quick. 2 days left of training camp, then it's it. It's a wrap here for St. John Fisher, at least obviously. Anyway, what would you like to see? What are you hoping to see or hear about or read about or whatever over these last 2 days of camps? There are a couple things that you're hoping to see.
Always no new injuries, number one.
Of course.
We'll just say that to get it out of the way. I would love to see Max Hairston get more physical, and I know he's been trying to do that. It's not really something he necessarily can turn on like a light switch, but I just want to see him get more aggressive and more physical. And then I want to see Tyler Bass kick a field goal.
So do I.
Those are my 3 things.
Listen, so this drops on Thursday. The Bills, by the time the Bills practice, some people might not listen to this till late morning or lunchtime.
Right.
This might be a drop story. Tyler Bass might be out there kicking footballs. If you're listening to this and know about practice and he's still not kicking by the end of camp, it's time to be a conspiracy theorist at that point. Let's just put it that way. I got 2 things. I'd like to see the offensive line depth start to look a little bit better. That's starting to concern me a little bit. Like, primarily Luntz, Cushenberry, who might not be all the way back from these injuries. They've really kind of derailed him a little bit. He was a really good starter and a promising guy. I'm not so sure he's going to make this team right now. And Grable or Drew Browery just keep looking better, because I think Drew Browery's got an excellent chance to be the swing tackle this year. I'm just not a Grable guy. I hate to say it, man. I want to like him. I don't got nothing against him personally, but I'm just not impressed with what I'm seeing. So I'd like to see the offensive line depth start to look a little bit better. The defensive line are just killing him. At least on Tuesday, we're killing him in these one-on-one drills, just murdering most of them. Except for Bowery. I think he held his own for the most part. But anyway, that's the other thing. And then the other thing is this. I haven't mentioned him this entire podcast. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's hurt. I would really, really, really like to see Jaylon Kilgore start to get more reps besides the third team. That's starting to get on my nerves, actually. I'm sure it's intentional with a plan, and they don't want to give him more than he can handle. He's kind of sort of switching positions because he was more like a big nickel in college who moved around.
Cross-train.
At camp, he has exclusively played safety, like deep safety, too. Jordan Hancock has exclusively played slot corner. So that kind of answered where these guys were going to fit in exclusively. But Kilgore has been an animal at training camp so far. Like, he might be the most, I don't even want to say pleasant surprise because I liked him, but I didn't think he was going to look, besides Eli Armzor, that was going to look as good as he has. He's had a couple he had an interception on one-on-ones Tuesday. He had a diving one on Saturday off Bichelle. He's had pass breakups. He looks good. But I kind of liken it. I've said this a few times. He's a varsity football player in high school playing against the JV team. I'm done watching him play against Shane Bichelle and Max Tomzak and whoever's the bottom of whoever's behind Latu at tight end. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I want to start to see him get more reps against Josh Allen, and especially with Gardner Johnson hurt, and maybe he will soon enough. But I want to see how he looks with Khalil Shakir in the slot and, things like that, or DJ Moore trying to test him deep instead of Pettis. You know what I mean? There's a big difference there. So I'd like to see him start over these last few days, get some reps. Sam Franklin has played ahead of him, dude. I got no interest in Sam Franklin should not be playing safety. He's a good NFL player, special teams gunner, stud on special teams. He ain't a safety. Sean McDermott went wrong about that. He's not a playable NFL safety. So when Gardner gets hurt and you got Franklin and Geno Stone on your twos and Kilgore's still with the threes, I'm like, what are we doing here? So I'd like to see more. Fair. I'd want to see more of Kilgore, I guess, is what I'm
That's good.
At.
That's a good one.
All right, let's put a bow on this. Again, 2 more days left. You're not going to probably be able to get to camp, are you? The last couple of days. Am I going to see Chris there?
Chris has been there each of the days this week. I don't know if he's going to be there on Thursday because he's got some personal stuff going on, but I'm assuming he'll be there Friday and Saturday. So I haven't talked to him about it.
All right. Well, hopefully I do. If not, like I said, I'll read Chris's stuff, everybody's stuff on Buffalo Rumblings, your one-stop shop for all things Buffalo Bills. Be a part, I should say, of that engagement community feed. Good shit. Absolutely. Over there, man. Appreciate you, buddy. This was fun, man.
Yep. Looking forward to seeing him on the field soon.
Yeah, me too. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. I'm doing, I don't know with who, but I am doing a podcast from St. John Fisher. I'll be recording it after Thursday's practice, so look out for that. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you.